I always say there is nothing wrong with the present generation.
Okay.
There's everything wrong with the older generation.
Oh.
you know,
Okay.
because they themselves have lost the connect with the spirituality. Which parent is concerned about how do I empower my children to face hurdles of life? You're not going to be there to protect the child all the time, right?
So it seems like the older generation and Gen Z both need the Gita as much.
Welcome to this episode, and we're very happy to have with us Anushka Jagtiani once more. Welcome, Anushka.
Thank you for having me again. I look forward to my weekly dose of Vedanta wisdom from you, Jayaji.
Thank you. And over to you now.
Yes. So I have a few questions on the Gita's definition of success and why the Gita doesn't just define success in materialistic terms. According to the Gita, do they say that success is not just about wealth? And I want to bring up verse 248, Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, which talks about, equanimity in the face of success and failure. If you could throw light on that.
Yes. So you made a reference to wealth. Unlike general perception today, Vedanta and the Bhagavad Gita are not against accumulation of wealth.
Okay.
So historically, we know that King Janaka, for instance,
Yes.
was a king. He had the kind of wealth that is unimaginable even today. Yet he was a man of realization.
Yes.
So it's having wealth is not the problem. But hankering after it, treating it as if it's the be-all and end-all of life is a very limited worldview. Because you're looking only at the lowest category of items that give you happiness.
Okay.
So what Vedanta says is that when you seek the higher, wealth and happiness come as a byproduct of that pursuit. By higher, I mean spiritual.
Okay.
But if you chase after money, then you're going to be beset with worry, anxiety, stress, agitation, all the rest of it. And the selfish viewpoint itself limits your thinking. So you're not creative and you meet with failure. So that's what the Bhagavad Gita says. Krishna says categorically in the Bhagavad Gita that selfishness is not an option. He tells Arjuna, if you function like this, you will neither get wealth nor happiness, and spiritual development is a far cry.
Some great points. One is that selfishness is not an option and that you should have a higher purpose. So once you have that higher purpose, then the byproduct is wealth and fame. But if you're chasing that wealth, surely there are people who chase wealth and do get it. Then what happens to them?
Yes, good point. Yes, there are people who chase wealth and get it, but they are unfulfilled, frustrated, unhappy at the end of it all. So you've put in all this hard work to obtain what you wanted, wealth, and at the end of it, you're still unhappy. What's the point? So can you view this as success? Not really.
True. Right. So in the end, you will be anxious. You won't be happy in spite of all that wealth. If that limited goal is your main goal, that's not going to ultimately lead to any fulfillment. So what does 248 really say about this, the samatvam? Is that the definition of yoga according to the Gita? One of the definitions.
See, when we pursue excellence or success or fulfillment in life, and you go to universities, you go get an MBA degree, you go here, there, everywhere, they may give you many tips, many useful knowledge that you can use to obtain success. But they don't address the fundamental issue, which is peace of mind, calmness of mind. So even for you to use these tips or guidelines, your mind has to be quiet, right? Now, who teaches? Where in the world do you get knowledge of how to make this mind calm. You don't get it anywhere, right? So this is a prerequisite to success. Now then, peace, yes, some people have. Okay, if you look at the world, very few people have success. Those who have been successful have no peace of mind. You agree? And there are very few people in the world who are at peace. You go to a remote island, you go to a remote village, you might find people at peace, but they are not successful.
Okay.
Right? So that is what we call as a pig's contentment. You're just lazing, you're just there. That's not the peace we're talking about. We're speaking of a peace that combines with dynamic activity. So in chapter 2, verse 50, he proceeds and says, Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Yoga is perfection in action, dexterity of action.
Right.
So that combination, peace of mind and perfect action, is very, very rare.
So that combination of 248 and 250,
250.
Samatvam Yoga Uchyate and Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam, that peace of mind and excellence in action.
Yes.
That is what is the key.
So, when the mind is calm, your intellect is sharp, alert, and action brilliant. When the mind is disturbed, you may have knowledge, but the intellect's thinking, it becomes deviated because of the agitation of the mind. The intellect can't think clearly, and action is flawed. So the result is failure in spite of your being extremely qualified. So this is a key component of success that is not taught anywhere in the world except in Vedanta.
Wow. Except in Vedanta. That is a prerequisite, because if your mind is disturbed, you're not going to really get that kind of success. Which brings me to a question. So, how does the Gita define success? Because it's not just success, is not just materialistic riches or fame, right? That there's got to be a deeper definition of success according to the Gita.
Yes, according to the Gita, success is when you understand your true worth. When you go back to the basics, which is you understand you are Atman and not body, mind, and intellect. You are the spirit that enables every human being to function, that enables the whole universe to function. So that is true success. But even in the relative, Krishna tells Arjuna, if you behave like this, meaning if you act on emotions and likes and dislikes and so on and so forth, you will na siddhim, you will not gain success in the world. And there he's talking about material prosperity and, connections and power and all the rest of it.
Right.
Na siddhim, na sukham, no happiness. Na param gatim, nor will you get to that state of the fourth plane of consciousness, self-realization.
Right. So he says if you don't rise above those likes and dislikes and you don't have that sense of equanimity, you will not.
You won't get anything. So actually, success, according to Vedanta, is a combination of these three. You aspire for spiritual evolution. And as you said, the byproduct of it is happiness and material prosperity.
In this day and age, do you think a person who has peace of mind, but for some reason has not much money or not much fame or following, and what the parameters of that we consider successful, do you think such a person can be considered successful in this day and age if they just have that peace of mind and equanimity and they've risen above their likes and dislikes, rag, dvesha? Do you think in the modern world we can call them successful?
No, that is a tamasic state where you don't have a vision of the higher. You're not working for anything. So that that peace comes from ignorance.
Oh.
You don't know what you're worth. You don't know what you're capable of. You don't know the good things of life. And so you say you're at peace. That is a tamasic state.
Okay.
Then slightly better than that is rajasic, the intermediary state, where your desires start popping up. You know what the world has to offer and you rush out to the world to acquire things for yourself. Okay? But that activity may gain you success, But because your mind is agitated, you're not happy. And you will not achieve the level of success that you can because of the agitation of the mind. Right? Then you move to sattva, where it's like moving to the fast lane. You know? There are no obstacles, nothing comes in your way. You're free from selfishness, you're free from desire and ego. You are just totally dedicated to something beyond you. Okay?
Yes.
So your mind is calm, your intellect is sharp, you're creative, you think of wonderful solutions, and you achieve enormous success.
Achieve enormous.
Yes, because your actions become perfect, right? And you grow spiritually because your desires for personal things go down. You're so captivated with the desire for the higher.
Okay, so when you reach that sattvic stage, your desire for personal things go down. You desire something higher. That's when you're truly successful. In this world, though, in our modern world, success, people want to quantify success. Let's take social media as an example, right? I mean, success is based on how many followers you have, right? How many views and likes you get. And I know we've discussed this before as well. But what if someone is doing really good work and that is not the aim? They are sort of sattvic mindset, they have a higher goal, but they don't have those numbers, or they don't have that massive bank account. Let's say their focus is more on like social work and just spreading great knowledge. Can we consider them successful?
See, we don't understand what success is in the sattvic state. I'll give you an example which is not quite there, but can convey the message. This recent match, FIFA match between Spain and Cape Verde.
Yes.
Okay, their goalie, a 40-year-old guy, decided to play. Okay, he got selected. Now, he at that time, or even before he played, he's not concerned about how many followers he gets on Instagram. What is he concerned with? Just playing football for his country.
Yes.
Right? And against a giant like Spain, he single-handedly saved his team.
Yes.
Right? Once he did that, then the rest followed. His followers moved from something like 5,000 to like 50 million.
Wow.
In 2 hours.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know the exact figures, but
Yes, got
this
it.
is what happened in 2 hours. But that's not what he was looking for.
Okay.
This is what happens when you really do good work. Okay? You're not looking for return in any way, but you get it. And let's face it, even if he doesn't get Instagram followers, does that take away from his success?
No.
So, a person who is at a higher level is not concerned with social media. So, he's not concerned with whether he gets a following because he understands that once you go beyond a certain level of excellence, the common person, average person, doesn't understand. You're into music. When a musician comes up with a brilliant performance, absolutely brilliant performance, who understands it? Only another brilliant musician.
Well put, yes.
Ordinary guys don't understand.
True.
So when you're at that level, you don't look for recognition because your people don't know.
Absolutely. I love that you always use analogies from sports because it really clarifies so much. And this example of Cape Verde in Spain is a great one. He was not striving for personal sort of fame and gain. He was doing this for his country. And again, that whole thing of coming as a byproduct when you have a higher purpose, that. So in a nutshell, what would you say is the Gita's formula for success?
The Gita's formula for success is actually spelled out in verse 30 of chapter 3. Okay? But I'll put it in a nutshell. We have spoken of the importance of fixing a higher ideal. Then the intellect must direct all your thoughts, your actions, your entire being towards that goal. That generates energy. The second thing is the mind must surrender to it. You must love what you're doing. Surrender is love.
Yes.
And then when you surrender, that takes precedence over everything else. Like a mother who loves her child, the child's needs or preferences take over and she forgets her own, you know. So that love is a very important aspect in success. And then the body must act dynamically, work hard. This is another thing that Gen Z must understand. There are no free lunches in life. You can't look for a rich father-in-law. It's not going to happen. You know? Work hard yourself. Work hard means sacrifice. So when you do these three, you generate a lot of energy within you. And then you avoid the dissipation by the intellect focusing the mind on the present action and not allowing it to meander to unproductive channels of past worry and future anxiety. So that again happens when you're dedicated to it. Anybody who's dedicated to a higher ideal is free from thought of self. And that's so endearing because there is that element of purity in it. Like even this guy, this 40-year-old goalie,
Yes.
he just went out there and played.
Amazing. Yeah.
So he had no pressure from behind, from the past to perform. He had no great ideal that I'm going to save my team from anything. He just did what he had to do, finished. That's it.
Yes, absolutely. That would have been a great match to watch live in the stadium.
Yeah.
Amazing. I was so happy about that result. So basically, it's being a karma yogi, you would say, is the formula, one formula for success according to the
Yes.
Gita. You brought up Gen Z. And that I was going to ask you about that because there are some people who believe, oh, Gita and the Vedanta is for older people who want to eventually renounce the world, not people who are active in the world. But that's clearly a misconception. We all know that. So why do you think the Gen Z and millennials really need the Gita?
You see, in the past, the life was slow. And we had very few things that could go wrong. Like, for instance, you had a bullock cart. How many things can go wrong in the bullock cart? Okay. Now you have highly sophisticated cars. And there are like a million things that can go wrong with that car. This is just an example. But similarly, we as human beings are facing challenges which were never faced by previous generations. So it's all the more important. And what is the Bhagavad Gita about? It's a technique of living which helps you to tap into your own equipment, the body, mind, and intellect, and use them correctly to face the challenges of life and emerge victorious. Right? Now, if with the world developing fast and the challenges in the world and the distractions in the world being so much more, all the more reason why we need to build in inner strength to be able to just deal with it.
Yeah.
Now, what has happened is that, for instance, you need a strong intellect. Nowhere in the world are you taught the importance of the intellect or how to strengthen the intellect. Now, how can a person, a Gen Z, who has so many choices before her, make the right choice if the intellect is not available, intellect is not developed?
Yes.
So, the need for the Bhagavad Gita is much more now than it was a few generations back.
Absolutely. In this very complex world. And you gave that lovely example of, cars and how things are way more complex now. And you definitely need the Gita for sure. But, Gen Z is very, so the youth are very ambitious right now. And even when they meet success, we spoke about this, there's a lot of mental health issues they face, a lot of anxiety, a lot of distress that comes with the ambition. So what does the Gita say about this? Why does this happen? Why do they fall into this sort of trap?
See, it's like this. Number one, the mantra of the day is instant gratification. So everyone is running around instant gratification. You've seen this just in the last few years. Deliveries that were made after 4 days, then it became same day delivery, and now it's 10 minutes.
Yes. Yeah.
So people want instant gratification. There were people in the past, people would wait, and there was this period of courtship before you went on a date. Today, it's instant. I've just given two examples.
Yes.
Now, the truth of the matter is anything that gives you instant pleasure gives you sorrow in the end. That can't be changed. It's a law of life. It's
Yes.
as applicable 600 years ago as it is today.
Yeah.
They don't know it. And they are riding on this instant pleasure. Number one. Number two, they want, again, results immediately. So an employee who joins a company wants to be promoted within 6 months. And otherwise they quit and join something else. 2 generations back, it was the norm that an employee joined a company and retired in the same company.
Yes.
So they were willing to wait for promotions, for whatever, the benefits of their hard work. It doesn't happen. So they get stressed out. So their expectations are unrealistic in a way. And all this has been fueled by social media. And it's all about appearance rather than what you really are.
Yes.
So you can fake a lot of things and put them on social media. But what happens to you is the reality. And they're unable to face the reality. So there are things like this. The third very important thing is, we mentioned this earlier, to the extent you are selfish. Number one, you will not be successful. Because you have to work in teams, you have to sacrifice, you have to do so many things, which if you're just looking at a selfish end, it doesn't work. It's a law that all selfish people are unhappy.
True.
Yeah, they're stressed out. And number three, you will remain a midget all your life with selfishness. If your mind expands, then you grow into an extraordinary person. If the mind is limited to just how many likes am I getting, and trivial things like this.
Absolutely.
So they need it. And the reason why they are in this situation is because of the older generation.
Okay.
Because the older generation has not given them the values, the exposure to the truths of life.
To the Gita and Vedanta.
Yeah, I mean, need not be exactly Gita, learn the verses and things like that. But I'm saying, just view what is that child exposed to. Earlier, there was some culture, poetry, literature, music, dance. There is no such exposure now. Because they're too busy either running after marks and tuitions.
True.
And the rest of the time they're, what is it called? Doom scrolling.
Doom scrolling. Doom scrolling is the bane of our existence.
So they badly need it. But how do you connect with them? That is our challenge.
That is our challenge, you're saying. And you're saying it's this impatient, the desire for quick results, all this which is causing the stress and anxiety. And sometimes it has really disastrous, effects. We've seen that in our society. So they really need the Gita and Vedanta or this kind of brilliant ancient wisdom more than anyone else. So I want to ask you from your experience, Jayaji, you have lectured at the premier institutions, universities also in the world. And it's presumably young people who attend your lectures. So from your experience, how do they receive your talks and what do they have to say?
I was about to say, but the advantage they have is they are extremely intelligent. Right? They are quick to pick up something that they can relate to, that they feel they need, and that they can use to become successful. So that exposure, it's the first step that is important.
The exposure.
They don't come. So we have to go where they are.
Yes.
The second thing is, so far, the truths of life, Vedanta has been presented to them in an extremely boring fashion. The same way that it was taught maybe 200 years ago.
Okay.
You know? They're not going to take to that. You have to speak to them in their language. And the reason why Vedanta survived all these centuries is exactly because of this. Every guru who evolved spiritually interpreted the knowledge in the language of the present generation and spoke to them. That's how they connected with them. Now, if you talk to them, okay, sit, recite chapter 1, they're not going to do it.
True.
Right? So you have to be able to connect with them in the right way and present it in the right way. They pick it up. I always say there is nothing wrong with the present generation.
Okay.
There's everything wrong with the older generation.
Oh.
You know?
Okay.
Because they themselves have lost the connect with with spirituality. Which parent is concerned about how do I empower my children to face hurdles of life? You're not going to be there to protect the child all the time, right?
So it seems like the older generation and Gen Z both need the Gita as much, because one needs to impart the right values to the younger generation. Somewhere there seems to be a disconnect. And you spoke about, talking in the language they understand, which is exactly what you do. I've seen, through sports analogies and social media. And yes, social media comes up a lot, but because that dominates our lives, and especially for the youth, that literally dominates their lives. And there are good parts of it. But like you said, there's nothing against like fame and riches in Vedanta and the Gita, but it's that attachment, that hankering for it, that is the problem, essentially. So there are other verses. What about chapter 5, verse 22? The pleasures that arise from contact with sense objects, though appearing as enjoyable to worldly minded people, are verily a source of misery. So if you could, does that relate to what we've been talking about?
In an indirect way.
Okay.
So, see, all of us, we belong to a generation where we're all chasing after sense contact, sense enjoyment.
Yes.
So, this verse says sense enjoyments are wombs of sorrow.
Okay.
They come and go, meaning they're transient. Yes. So, first of all, they're temporary. You enjoy something for this moment and then it's gone. The second thing is that they are wombs of sorrow, which means that they yield sorrow. The more you indulge in sense enjoyment, it leads to what we call as the law of diminishing returns function. So, like say mango, we're in the mango season. The first mango of the season you eat, if you're a mango lover, oh, it's delicious. But if you keep eating mangoes, you reach a stage at the end of the season where somebody mentions mango and you say, oh, please don't. Why? Because you have unintelligently indulged in the mango to such an extent that you have completely lost the enjoyment. But you must continue the contact because denied it, you have sorrow. Okay? So, when you have it, there is no joy. When you're denied it, there is sorrow. That leads to a terrible state.
Yes.
And that is why it's called wombs of sorrow. And a person who understands it it's not that they don't enjoy the sense contact, but they learn the formula of right contact with the senses. So here he says, the wise do not revel in them. The wise do not indulge in them. So, when you exercise sense control, then you can achieve success. Otherwise, what happens is people earn a little money, then they start indulging and they've lost. They've lost the goal.
Yes.
They've lost the plot.
Yeah.
Like very often you see people in business, for instance, start partying every day and they kind of go off at a tangent. Or musicians or sports persons. You
Yes.
see this all the time. So you need this wisdom. And you find that the most successful people in the world today are those who control the senses.
So once, let's say, someone has reached a state of distress and anxiety and despondency, much like Arjuna had reached at the start of the Bhagavad Gita, what can they do? What would Lord Krishna advise them to do? Does the Gita talk about raising yourself by yourself? And what does that mean?
See, yes, um, most of us tend to believe when we are in trouble that someone else may be able to help us. It is true that we can gain guidance from others. It is true that we may learn a few tips from some people, and that will help us. But in the end, you have to put in the effort yourself.
True.
So here is a situation where Arjuna is in deep trouble. It's a life and death situation for him. Krishna is his very dear friend. They are childhood friends. And he has the knowledge to bail him out immediately. Right? He has to
Yes.
use only 2% of his knowledge and that will help him. But he can't. Because the law is you have to help yourself by yourself. That is what the verse that you're talking about in chapter 6, he says, Uddhared Atmanatmanam. Lift yourself by yourself. And by the same token, you are responsible for your downfall, no one else's.
True.
So he says, don't push yourself down. Always keep going upward. You see, going down is very easy because you follow the law of gravity.
Yeah.
You just let loose, and within a matter of days, you're out. But pulling yourself up takes effort. And you have to keep putting in effort consistently. The result doesn't show immediately. You go on a diet today, tomorrow you can't weigh yourself and expect to have lost weight.
True.
Similarly, I mean, this is physical. And on the spiritual level, it is much more difficult for the result to show. But so therefore, he just emphasizes, make sure you're going in the right direction, upward. Make sure you're doing the right thing. And then keep doing it consistently, constantly.
Okay.
Don't look for the result. And then suddenly it appears. It's like titration in chemistry we learn. So there's a chemical in a burette. There's a flask through which the chemical falls into the flask. There's another chemical in the flask. And you are supposed to let the liquid fall into the flask drop by drop. If you get impatient and let out 5 drops, you've lost it. So you wait and wait and wait. 25 drops have gone, 39 drops have gone. There's no result. But don't lose heart. Suddenly, 52nd drop, a brilliant precipitate appears. This is what happens in life. Whether the material field in the world or in the spiritual field. So it's important that we understand we have nobody. No, in fact, no one can help us except ourselves.
Yeah, like you said, don't be hung up on the result. It will come. It will come. Maybe 100 drops later, but it will come, and that's so important. I mean, that's so important to hear that because it's easy to get discouraged. It's very, very easy to get disillusioned when one doesn't see the results.
Yes.
Like you said, you are responsible for your own downfall. Just want to ask, but what if circumstances are bad? What if your parents haven't treated you well? Or what if, your peers in school have been nasty to you and that has led you to some sort of downfall or anger, state of distress, where you're constantly frustrated and angry? Then what? Then who, right, you shouldn't blame anyone else, but it's only normal to blame circumstances, right? And other people around you.
Yes, see, not everyone faces positive environments and situations. In fact, all of us face problems at some point in life. You've given one example. I can give another example of a person who's had a bad marriage, and it's equally bad. So the truth of life is that the world is a mix of good and bad, pairs of opposites.
Yes.
It's in a flux of change. It's constantly changing. And that change is unpredictable. Now, given this, if you happen to be in a bad situation, you are assured that number one, it will go. It'll change.
Yes.
And you will face the opposite. So, all you have to do is have confidence in the law, confidence in yourself, in your abilities, and keep going.
Okay.
And you will be able to, in fact, just as a knife is sharpened against a rough surface,
Yes.
when you're up against problems, the best in you comes out. Otherwise, you tend to get complacent.
So the important message being keep going. No matter what the circumstances are, put in that effort, you will lift yourself up.
Absolutely. And don't get discouraged.
Thank you so much for all this wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you, Anushka. We were very happy to have you with us.
Pleasure, pleasure.
Shall we end with a prayer?
Yeah.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you for being with us in this very special episode, and we look forward to having you next week. But in the meantime, please give it a thought and share, like, and spread the good word.